Welcome into Illini Drive. I'm your host, Alec Busse. We have a good show for you. Erich Fisher, glad to see you back on the show. No show on Tuesday, but we're here on Thursday.
We are. I mean, yeah, we're here.
Gabby, you're back.
I haven't been here in like 2 weeks.
It's lazy.
I've been
Big
busy.
yikes.
Lazy.
Busy. Sorry. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go through everything I'm doing.
I've
no
got a lot
one
on
wants
my
to hear
plate,
that,
too.
so.
I've got a lot on my plate, too. So does Eric. We got a busy group. We fit this into our schedule.
But I mean, bye weeks for football and basketball. We're able to get freed up a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's been nice.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
We
It's
can
been
sleep
nice.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
Another hour or two.
A little
I
bit.
slept 3 hours last night.
Okay.
So
That's
things
on
are
you.
going really well. Anyways, mostly because I got woken up by my roommates.
The
Like,
eye roll.
Well, they come back at like 2 in the morning
No,
and just
they I fell asleep early last night because I was like, okay, I have a night where I can just sleep. So I go to bed at 11.
Okay, that's pretty early.
11. Yeah, isn't that so early? I usually go to bed at 2.
That's pretty good.
I get woken up at 12:30
Okay.
to the blaring sound of music downstairs.
Okay.
Then I couldn't fall back asleep until 4 a.m. Or actually, it was like 4:30.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not great.
But it's fine. The Steelers play tonight, so gonna be up anyways.
They're playing well. I
Hopefully
mean, the
celebrating
defense is
a
playing
win.
well for them.
The defense is playing well.
That's about it.
We can talk about that later.
We will talk about it later. But anyway, there's a lot going on in Illinois sports.
A little
Football
bit,
clinched
yeah.
a bowl game, arguably the greatest game in Illinois history, beating Michigan State this past Saturday.
Yeah.
25-point comeback.
Yeah, and then there's just a lot happening.
Still can't believe I was there for that. Like,
That had
top.
to be,
That's a top moment.
yeah,
Like
does
senior
that
year.
rank above Wisconsin for you in terms of games you've covered?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Really?
Really?
I would say so. It's like
I guess
I
the
say
weight.
absolutely, but it's not like they're so neck and neck. But I mean, goal like
everything
the
that went
4th
into
and
it.
17,
Yeah.
like the goal and then the goal line and all the crazy stuff and like being right at the goal line for that like.
Everything,
And then rushing the field, Whitman rushing. Yeah, I would probably
All
take
those
that.
videos of Whitman like hugging everyone, then picking up Lovey, that was like
Yeah.
touched my heart a little. I had to,
I know because they're just letting it all out
Yeah,
finally.
no, I
The
think
last
that's-
4 years of frustration, just
especially
letting it
because
out.
you don't see a lot of emotion from Lovey. So
Oh,
to
yeah.
see all that, like that was so. I was at, my family came into town and we watched it at Scotty's.
That's a great place to go.
It was
Scotty's
so
Brew
good.
House on
Yeah.
Neal
Yes.
Street.
One of the
yeah,
best places in
I like that
Champaign.
place.
So good. And everyone was like, like the emotions were so high in the whole place. Like when they missed the point attempt, everyone was like, like the air got sucked out of that place. And then they
think
made
I
like the
jinxed
4th and
McCord on
17, and
that.
then it was like, oh, so did everybody. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, easy.
Because after the
Easy.
pick six, I tweeted out the score and I said we're tied at 31 before he kicked it, and then
Oh,
like,
Eric.
and then my replies got
It's okay. It had to
blown up
happen.
after that.
Good
I
call.
think
felt
all
good.
of that had to happen for them to win.
Oh yeah.
Football's going to a bowl. Basketball's
Yeah.
2-1. I think people are a little bit disappointed in basketball right now, based off.
I don't
of their
think they're
performance.
really
I don't see
disappointed.
disappointed
You
as
guys
the
Just-
aren't
word.
reading things then. They lost by 21 to Arizona. They
They
almost gave it away.
Did you
to
watch the
Grand
first
Canyon.
half?
I did.
They're not
It's
the
a
team.
first half-
40-minute game.
The first half.
The-
Then you just turned the ball. Are we just gonna jump right into this because
No, we're
I'm
gonna
ready
go
to jump
football
into
first.
this?
We're going
Okay,
football
yeah.
first.
Okay.
And then we'll hit basketball.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of people that are at least a little disappointed
They
in
have,
basketball.
I mean, you have concerns, of course.
Like
Disappointed is not the word.
Disappointed is not the word right
But
now.
we'll
We're 3 games
we'll
in.
get to
Okay,
that.
that's fair. Basketball recruiting news. It's
Big.
heating
I mean,
up.
we all knew it was coming, but
Yeah, of course. And like I said, football's going to a bowl game. But let's hit with the bowl game talk first. I have a list of a couple bowl
I know.
games that
This
Illinois
is a
been.
nice
Yeah, I know.
list.
Aren't I good? Aren't I
Look at
just a
that.
good little host?
Oh, versus Pittsburgh.
Okay, so we have a list of bowl games. Let's
New York
rank
right
the
there.
bowl games that Illinois could go to, that you want to see them go to. Obviously, a lot of these have been projected in the New Era Pinstripe Bowl in New York at Yankee Stadium. I actually think that'd be really cool.
yeah.
Just to
I'm just gonna be biased though because I want to go to the bowl game, so I'm just gonna pick the closest one. Like,
Detroit?
yeah, Detroit.
But
I don't think that's going to
That's
happen. They're going to have to get a 7th win.
yeah, I mean, they're gonna get a 7th one.
Exactly.
They're gonna beat Northwestern.
The Sun-Times report said they're probably going to stay in the Quick Lane Bowl unless they get a 7th win, then they're going to move on to something a little bit better, which I think is very fair to expect. But I think the Redbox Bowl that Sports Illustrated predicted in Santa Clara, where the 49ers play against Arizona State, would be a really fun one. Herm Edwards and Lovie Smith would be a really fun coaching matchup.
That would be a fun matchup, yeah.
Especially considering, like, each program kind of tried to do the same
They're
thing.
kind of at the same place a little bit, but Illinois is obviously taking
longer to get there.
Yeah, and now they're taking a big step now.
big
But that would
jump.
be really fun. And that, like, there would be a lot of storylines behind that, too, with Levy and Herm.
Yeah, I think that one would just have a lot of fun storylines, like you said.
Wasn't, not to cut you off real quick, but wasn't there a bowl game that people were kind of saying they had contention for it in Nashville?
Music City, but that one's harder to get to
Okay,
because
I
it doesn't
didn't-
look like the Big Ten's going to get an invitation to that one this year.
Okay, I wasn't sure because that'd be cool. Nashville would be fun to go to.
Oh, yeah, I
and a
would
good drive,
definitely-
like
That's
easy
where I
drive.
wanted to go the most until I
Yeah.
started to read a little bit more that Nashville
Maybe if
looks
we
like it
win
wasn't
both
gonna work.
games, they'll
Briefly
slide
mentioned,
us in there. You know?
I briefly mentioned that to my friends and my girlfriend, and she, they're like, if it's in Nashville, like, we're going.
We're going. No,
I
that's
want to
like,
go to Nashville.
Yeah.
yeah, I would go to Nashville and Detroit.
That was my plan. I said all
The
along. if they got a
pinstripe's probably
6-1.
going to happen, though. I bet.
That seems the most like reasonable.
You would be sent out there to cover it, right? You
New York? It's going to have to come out of my pocket.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
don't
an
have that
expensive
much money.
flight.
That's an expensive trip. That's around.
Let's drive.
That's no.
Road
drive.
trip?
I'll road trip us.
That's a long
I'm
drive.
not going anymore.
Because you don't trust Gabby driving.
Pay for your plane ticket then. Whatever. I'll drive there. Whatever.
If you flip the whole bill,
I also think there's some fun opponents on this list.
Louisville would be really fun.
I think Tennessee would be a lot of fun. Plus, it's
Yeah.
it's an SEC program. Obviously, they've been down a little bit in the last couple of years, but it's still an SEC program, and that's something that you could pitch to your recruits if you did
Yeah.
beat an SEC program in Tennessee.
At least don't go to Tennessee. Come here.
Exactly.
If it's between Tennessee and Illinois, like, hey,
Javante Spraggins at you.
yeah.
Here's another really fun one, and I know they're not on here, and they might not actually be bowl eligible because they might not get a 6th win, and they have NCAA sanctions, but Mizzou.
Oh,
I think
That
that
would
would
be
be a
insane.
lot
That'd
of
be
fun.
wild. That would be a wild game.
My friends and I were
you'd have
talking about
tons
that.
of fans there. That's just like an appeal.
yeah.
You know, like I would want to. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's basically bragging rights before bragging rights.
No, it'd be
Exactly.
after bragging rights.
Oh, it's after
It'd
bragging
be after the
rights?
basketball game.
Oh
'cause-
my gosh, it would.
Right?
Yeah, duh.
So,
Wow.
Wouldn't that be a lot of fun?
That would be
that
insane.
would be a lot of fun, but
Whichever team won bragging rights, the other team's just trying to redeem it. or
Yeah.
something.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. But like I said,
But
there's a lot of
it's-
ifs that go into that. Mizzou has to still get a 6th win. But
They
they
also
play
have-
Arkansas, so
Yeah,
that
oh
should be
my
a 6th
gosh.
win.
The worst, the second worst Power 5 program.
That is Mizzou's rival in the SEC because they
not
border
much of a
they
rivalry
border
right
states.
now.
Yeah, Mizzou just doesn't fit in there. I feel like.
Yeah.
And then the NCAA has to grant them
oh,
I know.
eligibility.
That's
still.
what Mizzou Twitter's all nuts about right now.
Yeah.
Is anytime the NCAA rules on anything, they're like how Illinois fans were when waiting on Luke Ford to get
Yeah.
ruled.
Yeah.
Just constantly berating the NCAA.
So you guys would want to go to New York the most? Is that what you're saying, or Jacksonville, based off this list? I think Santa Clara would be fun.
Santa Clara would be sweet.
well, Santa Clara would be
I
the
just
best
know,
option. I don't think.
I
that's
just know
gonna
I
happen.
couldn't flip that.
No.
I don't.
I would love to. I mean, oh my gosh.
I don't plan on going to the bowl game. I know I asked my parents for bowl game tickets because I'm not planning to cover it. But if it's going to be in New York or Jacksonville or something, I don't see that happening.
Texas Slayer Bowl would be fun.
I could maybe swing New York. Maybe.
I know I could not.
That's really
swing New York.
expensive. But around New Year's, it'd be really fun though.
I'll ride my bike.
You'll ride your bike.
It'd be really fun.
Try to get Lambo from
Yes.
Georgie.
Yes. Put an engine on the back. Let's
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for a bowl game.
Yeah,
It's crazy to say that Illinois is in a bowl game.
Is it bad that I don't even care if they win?
It doesn't matter if you win.
I know
the
it
bowl
does-
game.
yeah,
No.
Like I
don't
know
think
it
is.
doesn't matter to anything really, but obviously it'd be good to win. But I'm just happy we're there.
Yeah, I mean it's 4 years in the making. Now
Yeah.
the expectations of the program only rise up because of this, and
Well, I think
and it's what Lovey said after directly after the game too. He's like, for some teams, making a bowl game isn't that big of a deal, but this is the necessary step we had to take in order to take another one next season. So that's why the bowl game just means so much to this team. And you saw the players reacting so emotionally to
Yeah.
Jamal Moan was down on the ground on his knees, directly after the game. He was emotional. I mean, you see all the seniors that have been here for so long, who have had the pressure to transfer out from the University of Illinois, but they stayed here through all of it, and now it's finally paying off for them in their 4th year. And so you just feel good for the seniors that did this, and then now you're actually starting to see the foundation that Lovie Smith is building at Illinois because of what they did at Michigan State and what they did against Wisconsin and this 4-game winning streak. It's just been insane to think about the turnaround this season, especially after how it started with losses to Eastern Michigan and Nebraska, 2 games you should have won.
Not easily. But
Not easily.
You should have beat Eastern
You should have beat.
One of them.
You should have beat both of them, honestly. The way the game played out in both games, you should have beat both of them.
I think what was interesting for me to see was either people like Marquez Beeson who didn't play, or Luke Ford, or recruits.
Yeah, think about all the people that are about to come in.
Yeah, and all those recruits that are coming in next year, all of them tweeting about, this is why I picked Illinois, this is why I'm coming, this is why I've always been 100% committed. I think that is really good for recruiting further down the line, because those kids aren't even here yet and they're already celebrating that. So I think that's so exciting to see, and I think it just puts so much, obviously, coaches are out this week and this weekend. I just think that puts such an emphasis on, coming to Illinois.
I just think it really helps them all around in terms of the morale, especially from a fan base perspective, too. I mean, and you're not going to see it at the Northwestern game with the timing of that game being a couple days after Thanksgiving, and it's going to be really poor weather and all things considered. But if you have the ability to go to that game, go. Because
the bowl game?
No, the Northwestern game.
Oh, I mean,
go. If you live in Champaign or Bloomington or Mahomet or anything like that, and you can go, put on your winter jacket and go, because this team and this coaching staff deserves to see the fans out there, I think.
They're a fun team to watch now.
They are. They're a lot of fun to watch.
The energy's high.
On both sides of the ball, they're fun.
Especially defensively, they're a lot of fun to watch defensively.
I mean, it's a Lovie Smith. They're playing like a prototypical Lovie Smith defense. They're fully bought into every aspect of it.
Just
and
like the takeaway defense is so fun to watch.
It's
like you almost anticipate a turnover every drive. I think it's really exciting.
I honestly didn't think it would happen as much as it did at Michigan State, too. I mean, the picks, in all those picks, besides the pick six, Lurke just threw a terrible ball. I mean, you had 2 tip pick sixes. That's just like players being in the right positions, and then the secondary, both Stanley Green and Sidney Brown, in those cases, just hunting the ball hawking. And
they're a hard-hitting defense, too.
Yeah, they are.
Which is fun to watch. Even if you're not getting a pick or you're not getting a sack, at least get to see a big hit over the middle of the field or down the sideline or whatever. I think a good example of that is Nate Hobbs knocking the ball out of the receiver's hands in the end zone, and Stanley Green diving across the receiver to make the catch.
Nate Hobbs had the most underrated game in that Michigan State game.
Nate Hobbs is
he had his best game of the season in that Michigan State game. He was a monster.
He's so overlooked.
He was shut down for that entire game. He had his best Power Football Focus rating of the season in that game.
It's just so many defenders did so many other...
The players that stepped up. Dawson DeGroot played so good in a reserve role. He's obviously not someone you want starting at a Big Ten level, but he stepped in and had 11 tackles. Kalen Tolson, he had the tip that led to the pick for Sidney Brown, and that Sidney Brown pick led to a touchdown at the end of the first half for Immature Bebe. Nice. That
wasn't right.
I know, shush.
It's
E-Matter, baby.
E-Matter, baby. That's, oh my God.
I just think
I'm never going to get it.
Do that all without Jake Hansen, too, I think that
Exactly, yeah.
Because he, obviously,
and Ricky Smalling.
Yeah, who's now out for the year.
Sidney.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the defense.
That receiving core is going to be so good next year, too.
Okay.
There's just and another thing, too, is this show has bagged on Brandon Peters a lot, this group.
I don't think I have. Maybe
I haven't bagged on him. Gabby has bagged on him.
I have because he didn't show me anything.
Yeah, but he gave you enough to win.
I didn't say he was horrible. I just doubted him, which I had every right to doubt him, because that Eastern Michigan, Nebraska, Minnesota.
I just love now knowing that
Minnesota.
Brandon Peters is a trash talker. I didn't know.
I like it.
I didn't know that. I saw it at the end of the Rutgers game, but I didn't really see it. And then I talked to him after the game about it because Reggie snitched on him, saying that Peters talks a lot of trash. And I was asking him about it, and I was like, "Were you talking trash to the fans?" He was like, "They were saying I'm a Michigan reject, stuff like that, and they got what they deserved." And it's like, I was like, and then someone asked, when the clock hit 0, where you're talking a little bit, and he's like, I went over to him a little bit. So, I mean, that's just fun, though. Like,
good for him.
And he played really well. You don't win that game without him?
The dude won the game for you. Like,
yeah.
The last throw, I mean, that was
it's
a hell of a
good
route by
read,
Daniel
and
Barker.
yeah, I think.
But in the last 3 years, I haven't seen an Illinois quarterback take over a game like that.
Well, that
like
last
a big
play,
time game.
If he didn't make a good throw, if he didn't see him open, that's because that's not who he was going to.
He delivered a great ball to Bebe too.
Yeah,
on that 4th and 17.
Yeah, his long ball is good.
Sometimes but he gets time.
He has to have time in the pocket.
Yeah.
And they're starting to give him a little bit more time with the rollouts, which is something you saw obviously on that throw to Barker, the touchdown throw.
Yeah. He also stands in the pocket a little too long sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's
he holds on to it a little bit.
He needs, but I think that's been a progression through the last
He's gotten a lot better, though.
Yeah, no, I think
as the season has gone along.
He's getting the ball out quicker, too.
He just looks more comfortable in that offense.
Yeah.
He's getting to his second and third read now, too. Whereas, earlier in the season, especially against Nebraska, I felt like he was staring down his first receiver, and if it wasn't there, he was getting sacked.
Oh, yeah.
But now, especially against Michigan State, you saw him, okay, Bebe's not there. Okay, now let me look at Donnie Navarro. Okay, Donnie Navarro's not there. Okay, now let me look at whoever it may be as the third option on that play, whether it's a Daniel Barker in the end zone or Caleb Reams or whoever it is. He's getting to that third and fourth read, and I think that says a lot about his maturity. That
he's just getting comfortable. Now, imagine year 2 of Brandon Peters.
Yeah.
And it's also, I mean,
with a healthy Ricky Smalling, a healthy Trayvon Sidney.
James Frenchie coming in.
Yeah.
Jaden Thompson coming in.
Jaden Thompson, too. I was
Casey
trying to remember the other name.
Yeah, Casey Washington.
And you're forgetting them.
Bebe back. That connection growing.
Luke Ford. Yeah, exactly.
Really good down the middle of the
offense,
field.
You're retaining your offensive line, too.
Yeah.
Minus Richie Pettibon, who... This isn't meant to be a shot at Richie, but
then you have Vertus Brown, who showed so many flashes in training camp of what he can be at that right guard spot. That offensive line could be,
even if it's not Vertus Brown, it's Jordan Slaughter or a Julian Pearl or someone like that who's a junior at this point.
And then the defense too. The 2 people you'll lose or 3. You're 3 people. You're going to lose Stanley Green, Dele Harding, and then Milan. Milan, you're hoping he gets filled in with Calvin Avery. You're hoping he takes that big step. At Mike, you're hoping Shimon Cooper steps in that role.
Or
Tolson, yeah. And then at safety, then you're just...
I think you move Quan Martin to safety.
Yeah, exactly. We saw him in the Michigan State game get put in there because, to start the Michigan State game, Stanley Green and Sidney Brown were so bad. Lovey literally pulled both of them at the same time for... Delano Ware and Quan Martin. But yeah, Quan Martin could step into that free safety role.
When you saw last year during Quan's freshman season,
he's a ball hog.
He has really good ball skills. He just struggles at certain things coverage-wise.
He's not the most physical guy.
Yeah.
Where you don't need to be that at free safety.
Yeah.
Or strong safety, whichever one he's playing. He's not going to be in coverage as much. He's just going to see the ball and he's going to make a play on it, which is good.
Also still, I feel like he's just still developing and learning the system because he is,
he's a sophomore.
I honestly thought he was going to get moved in training camp, but he had a really good training camp, so they kept him there, and then that obviously didn't work out.
Honestly, with all the hurt or the injured players and the recruits, I'm like, okay, we got the bowl game. I want next year. I want next year already because, there's so many bigger pieces coming in next year, and it's just, exciting to even think about.
And this class isn't done either. This recruiting class isn't done.
Yeah.
You could look at potentially getting a high-level grad transfer again, not from a USC, but maybe from another school. Or you look at getting a couple more kids to flip schools. Antonio Johnson, there's still people in his ear at East St. Louis. Hey, look at Illinois. They've won 4 games in a row.
It's scary to think that Illinois football is kind of coming back.
Oh, I think it's back.
You know what's really funny, too? This will be the last point I make on this. If Illinois beats Iowa and Northwestern and wins their bowl game, you'd end the season on a 7-game win streak, which is
insane,
kind of inconceivable, just because it would be another upset against a ranked team against Iowa.
But
you match up well with them.
Exactly. And you've upset Wisconsin.
It's
on the road.
I don't think it's unreasonable to think that I kind of feel like Illinois might be Iowa. I don't know. Obviously, that's a next week topic. I think they 100%
have a chance.
I think they have a chance. Yeah,
I don't think it's crazy at all to think about that. The only thing is you're going into Iowa, and that's tough. But look what Iowa came into you last year.
And that's a crazy thing too about where this Illinois football team is at. Is that I feel like right now, and besides like the top dogs of like Ohio State and Penn State, maybe not even Penn State, but like going into next season, there's not going to be a single game on the schedule where you look at it and be like, they're going to get killed that game. Yeah,
complete L.
And like going into a game like Iowa on the road, last year you're like, all right, like I'm not even going to tune into the game. Now you're going to be like,
the beginning of this season, I was like,
exactly,
getting killed by Iowa. Don't even want to think about that game. But now it's like, we could win that game.
Exactly.
We could. I feel like it's
so
also
nice. That's so nice of a spot to be in.
Exactly. And I feel like they're just continually. I know, like everyone was kind of a little nervous after Wisconsin. Like, okay, is that just me, like a one and done? But now you're kind of like riding this high, and it's
Momentum's
like you don't
a real
want to
thing.
get off. And I think Lovey said, it's hard to stop that momentum once.
He did.
Once you start, and it's super easy to. It's really hard to like get that momentum, but once you do, you don't want. Like, everyone's so emotionally invested now.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you? It's gonna be hard for them to fall off.
Well, where I was going with it was if Illinois finished this season with wins against Iowa, Northwestern, and their bowl opponent, that would be 7 consecutive wins. You then open the 2020 season with Illinois State. That should be a win.
Yep.
8 wins in a row. UConn, 9 wins in a row. Bowling Green, 10 wins in a row. Rutgers, 11 wins in a row. Then you travel to Nebraska, a team that, yes, will be a little bit healthier. Adrian Martinez will be a junior. Potentially a 12th win in a row. Then you play Purdue at home. You just beat them. They'll be healthier. They'll have a quarterback back. But you just beat them. There's no reason you can't beat them again.
They honestly might be favored. They honestly might be favored going into Lincoln that game. If like everything you just said,
correct.
Yeah.
Like not even if they win out this year, like you said, but you just going into Lincoln in general next year. Like if they beat Northwestern and win their bowl game or lose their bowl game, whatever happens, and obviously they have to take care of business and non-conference and Rutgers. Going into Lincoln next year, they could be favored. And like, when's the last time Illinois has been favored on the road in a Big Ten game?
That'd have to be going
Never.
to Rutgers last year.
Yeah, I barely count Rutgers
a real
as a
Big Ten game.
Yeah.
No offense,
But
Rutgers.
Offense.
Obviously, that's looking so far ahead.
Yeah.
And odds are it's not
But
going to happen.
It's exciting to have that.
Exactly.
It's like cool to be like, okay, this is.
Like we can speculate.
It's not crazy. Like, okay, it's a little crazy, but it's not like.
It's not that crazy.
We went through the Illinois football schedule on the drive yesterday, the show I interned for, and we came out with like a basic not best case scenario, not worst case scenario, 7-5 for the 2020 team, which kind of sounds disappointing based off of where you are this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to look at, and if you want, we can go through it. We have a little bit of time, but Illinois State, let's do best case scenario just for the fun of it. Illinois State win 4-0, UConn or 2-0, Bowling Green 3-0, at Rutgers 4-0, at Nebraska
Probably a loss.
Yeah,
probably lost.
take the
But
loss.
if you're doing best case scenario,
Okay, but you can't give them every win.
Like if it's
4-1.
if it's a coin toss game,
I
like
would
that
take Nebraska
was.
because it's in Lincoln
Yeah.
and because they're going to be healthier.
But
and
if you
because
want to do
Adrian
best
Martinez-
case scenario, then you give them.
I mean, you
the win.
competed with Nebraska this year,
Yeah.
and they had Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, and you're.
I feel like
and
you
You
don't
expect
go-
yourself to take a step too.
exactly. So I mean, if we're doing best case scenario, I'll give them the Nebraska win.
So 5. Then you play Purdue at home on October 17th. My guess is that's probably homecoming. That one's tougher for me because they're going to be healthier. They'll
Yeah.
have. You assume
David
they
Bell
have
and
Rondo
Rondo
more
back.
I feel like you have to give them that loss. Like give Illinois that loss. You have to pick a loss between Nebraska and Purdue.
I agree.
It's not going to
think-
be
I think
6-0,
that's
so
right,
5-1.
So 5-1 at this point. Minnesota, they have a lot coming back.
Yeah.
The only thing they
5-2.
lose is Tyler Johnson really offensively and Rodney Smith. That's an L, I think, and they are very well coached.
Yeah,
so you're
5-2.
5-2.
They're the 17th in they're 7th in the country right now.
Then you go. No, they're 7th.
That's what I said. 7th.
Oh, I thought you said 17th.
No.
Is
That's
that
what they
crazy?
were. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Good for them. Then you go to Wisconsin to take on the Badgers. I think that's a loss, 5-3. Then you play Iowa at home.
Give them the win.
I want to see.
Best case scenario.
I want to see
Exactly. and
I
it's
want to
hard
see next week. I want to
I
see
do
next
too.
week before I call that game.
I do too.
I'll give them an L for now.
I
but
do too. I agree. And then Indiana, who is ranked in the top 25 right now.
At Indiana.
But it is at Indiana. But listen to this: of Indiana's 7 wins, not one of them is against a team that is over 500.
But they also went on the road to Nebraska.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And they bring back almost all of their offensive production. Both of their quarterbacks who have over 1,300 yards passing are both back next year.
That's so weird, but
Oh.
that's probably a loss.
And then if you're really hoping for best case scenario and you beat the games that we're saying as toss-ups, you play Ohio State on November 21st. That will be the day that game day comes to Champaign if Illinois is having their best case scenario season.
Probably best case scenario season. I mean,
just to get ruined by the Buckeyes.
Oh my gosh!
What if we beat Ohio State? Think about it.
It's happened before.
Just think.
All right, we can't keep doing this.
And then you end the season at Northwestern. So you expect to be a bowl team next year. So
yeah,
it'll be fun to watch next year, especially. But don't get too ahead of yourself, Illinois fans. Enjoy this while it lasts.
Basketball.
It doesn't happen.
And then you're hoping Isaiah Williams, after going into his junior year, is oh my gosh. There's a lot of things. That's going.
Isaiah might.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Nah, he's staying.
Yeah,
he ain't going.
Oh well. Basketball.
Right.
It's kind of weird thinking that football is in a more. Is in a higher place, and I mean, obviously, it's because football season's more along, but like, football is kind of like the talk of the town a little bit right now, and for Champaign, that's not exactly a normal thing.
No, I like it.
It's fun. It's fun now.
Illinois
Basketball
sports
has
are
expectations.
They're not so
Except
depressing.
volleyball.
Illinois,
That's
sure,
a sad
seriously.
thing.
But they're still ranked in the top 25.
At 25.
You're still
hanging
there.
on. You're hanging
You're
on.
only a game over 500. Basketball obviously is 2-1. You have a win against Nicholls State in overtime. That was a breath taker. You beat Grand Canyon.
But they beat Pittsburgh though, which
they're not good.
I know, but they're like
I wouldn't say they're
competitive team.
No one predicted Pittsburgh in their NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but
but that doesn't mean they're.
It adds legitimacy to the game.
It does. I'll give you that.
I had to delete like half my recap for the Nicholls State game.
Oh, yeah.
I was just not happy about that. But
you beat Grand Canyon. You look like you should have beat them by 20. You let them back in the game. Yeah, you are still able to get the win.
What was like a 12-point win, right? It was 12.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
That's pretty much what the spread was for that game. Was 12.
No, but it's frustrating to me when you were up 15 for most of the second half, and then you let them get it down to like 7 at one point.
Yeah, and
it looked a lot like Nicholls State. And hats off to Grand Canyon for having the best environment that Illinois going to see this entire season. Yeah. That was crazy.
That was crazy.
Derek Piper said that was the loudest gym he's ever been in.
Yeah. No,
it looked cool. It looked fun.
Shout out to that Grand Canyon stream too. That was so well done.
I know.
I was like, wow, this is so nice. Like, I thought I was gonna have to like. Never mind, I can't. I plead the fifth.
Cancel.
Illegal streaming services.
Did you guys get to watch the Arizona game?
Yeah,
I did.
Did you do the FUBU free trial?
I went to Legends.
Well, me and JJ and Brendan did the FUBO free trial, and it was horrible.
Really?
It wasn't that bad. I didn't have any problems with it.
It was like lagging. It was all, but.
It did bother me for the Arizona game. They had the wrong logo for Illinois in the score bug.
Yeah.
That bothered me.
That was weird.
But Illinois down by 1 at half. Probably should have been up at half, all things considered.
But that was an insanely fun half of basketball. That was high-level basketball.
It was. And then you're in it until about the 12-minute mark of the second half.
And you start turning it over.
Arizona looks like a potential Final Four team. Potential top 2 team, or potential top 2 seed team.
I want to go that far.
Oh, they look really good. Those 3 guards are legit. Nico Manning.
I know, but you had like the turnovers though. I mean, that's
we kind of just gave it to him.
And then turnovers led to bad transition defense, which then led to a 15-0 run, and then it leads to the game being over. And like in the second half, you can't sustain a 15-0 run like that. I mean, I guess Illinois did against Nicholls State, but it's also Nicholls State and not Arizona. So I think you're a little bit more concerned about that loss or that road trip in general than I think we are.
I'm more concerned about everything I've seen through 3 games.
Okay.
Than you guys are.
I just think your issues are fixable for the most part.
And I agree. I think they're fixable, but I think there are still legitimate concerns.
There's concerns, but they're not like these. I don't think it's anything to be like, oh my God, this is not like.
I don't think there's concerns of like signs that are going to like trouble them later.
No, it's. I mean, it's the second half of Arizona was sloppy. You can fix that. You can fix turnovers. You can fix. I mean, this is This is a different team than last year. They're playing differently with Kofi and Georgie together. You know, Andres in the starting lineup now. It's different, and I think they're still working on that chemistry might be the wrong word, but they're just
No,
meshing on the
chemistry's fine,
court. And
yeah.
I think that's something you have to improve as you play. Yeah, you can work on that in practice, but until you get in those game time situations, then you start to figure that out. And then the offense starts to flow, you have less turnovers. So I think that's something that we might see a couple of these close games that shouldn't be close games throughout this, the rest of this non-conference stretch. But I think it's, you get farther down that, and I think a big problem right now, and I think everybody can see that, is Georgie's not quite fitting into this new role, and I think
Georgie's my one concern that I feel like could be a problem later on in the season.
I agree.
That could plague you later on in the season.
I just think he doesn't look comfortable out there as much anymore, and I think
he has no confidence.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he belongs where he is.
He doesn't look like Georgie.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like the Georgie that we've seen for a year.
Georgie's just in a new role, and he's trying to fill out where his new role is. And when you're on the road like that in a tough environment and stuff like that, and you're not 100% confident in what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to find and pick or choose your spots, then you're going to lose confidence like that a little bit.
Foul trouble is very concerning for him.
Yeah,
especially when Kofi isn't getting into the foul trouble that Georgie is, and Kofi is significantly bigger than Georgie.
Well, Georgie's still trying to get away with some of his offensive fouls, like the way he set screens and the way he posts up on people. He's still trying to get away with some of that stuff, and that's something Underwood said he's trying to get correct, and he basically said it's unacceptable. He hasn't corrected it already by now, but that's something I think will change. But my issue with Georgie is just he's not, when they are staggered, he's not asserting himself. And that's what I'm wondering what's going on here, because when Kofi's out of the game,
he doesn't even look comfortable at the 5.
Yeah, Georgie's either they're not even looking at Georgie, or Georgie's not even getting or trying to do anything with the ball at the time. Grand Canyon, I thought he was better. Watching the game, I thought he was worse, and then I looked at his stats. I was like, okay, he actually wasn't as bad, because he had like 12 and 7 that game or something like that.
It's better.
Yeah, I mean, that's what if Georgia gives you 12 and 7 this year, then I think that's ideal, 100%. 12-7, like 3 assists, couple blocks. Like, I think that would be prime what you could get out of Georgia this season.
Okay, so Eric, last week when it was just the two of us, we went through a list of 6 or 7 concerns that I had, and you said a lot of them were valid after the Nicholls State game. I still have some of those concerns. Georgia is still at the top of that list. Yeah. The defense is still not rotating at all. The defense is still really bad, especially around the arc.
Defense had some very bad issues, and I think a lot of that, too, is it's early season.
But the defense should be ahead of the offense at this point.
It should, but I don't think the offense is that far ahead either. But
I think Underwood is, I feel like their defense is not easy. I feel like Underwood has, a really hard defensive mind and scheme and everything. So I feel like maybe those pieces just aren't fully into place yet.
I'll also say this about the defense. It's not as aggressive as it has been in the past for obvious reasons, and it's because you can't be that aggressive when you're playing
you also have
basically
Kofi.
2 5s with Kofi and Georgie. But granted, you now have something that you didn't have last year or the year before under Underwood, and that's a true rim protector and Kofi.
That's why they backed off a little bit,
Correct,
too.
and you should back off of it, and hats off to Underwood for making the adjustments, for coaching to what his players have, not making his players adjust to him. That's what coaching really is, in my opinion. Turnovers are still a big problem, and a lot of those turnovers are coming off of bad passing.
Yeah,
this team is really, really bad at passing.
I want to say they're bad at passing.
They're bad at passing
I think it shows that.
How many times? Let me put it to you this way: how many times when you were watching the Grand Canyon game, and more specifically the Arizona game, did you see them try and dump it into Kofi, and it was either
tried
out
to
of
force
reach
it into Kofi,
or not a good location for him, and it was just too hard for him to corral? A lot.
It's because it's the wrong person is making the pass, and that's why I think that's so easily correctable on film. It's just like, you just need to either skip the ball, make a skip pass, or make that one more pass to the corner to get the better angle into the post. I don't think they're a bad
passing.
I don't think they're a bad passing team. It's just they're still trying to figure out.
They're not a good passing team right now.
They're still just trying to figure out this offense right now. That's why I think the defense is still higher or above where the offense is. Defensively, it's just mental errors and when you turn the ball over 23 times, your defense is going to look twice as bad, because your transition defense gets screwed over, because you're just scrambling the whole time. Because a live ball turnover, they're a team like Arizona who's getting out and running the way they are. you're just scrambling defensively. You can't get set up, and so your defense is going to look twice as worse when that happens. And so in the half court, there's still some concerns.
Offensively, half court, it looks like they're just not there.
Oh yeah, offensively half court,
they have no offense in a half court.
Yeah,
at all.
And that's where the big issues are, and that's where I feel like they have to figure things out, find those better angles to feed Kofi, and when Georgie has to assert himself, or when Iowa in the half court, he has to step up. That's the one thing.
He didn't look like in a first-round NBA draft pick against Arizona in a half court.
Oh, I mean,
in the half court,
okay.
he did.
Okay, but
I was going to say, he balled out in
offense,
that Arizona game.
Yeah,
pretty
and
well.
transition,
half-court
he's a top
offense.
guard of the country in transition.
That's the thing NBA scouts say about Iowa, too, is that they need to see him do work in the half court before they could take him as highly as they're trying to project him to be. But, I mean, I think it's still early season.
Yeah.
We saw this offense mature to a higher level last year. I mean, the Michigan State game last year is a perfect example where I felt like Illinois offensively was just the best it had been all season, and that's what and you have a new roster, not a new roster, but you have new lineups, a new way that you're trying to run things offensively. It's going to take some time, and so they're only in the first layer or two of their offense at the moment, especially in a road environment too. You don't feel as comfortable going as farther into the playbook that you have. A lot of the concerns I have are easily correctable, and I think they will get corrected. Besides, like I said, sorry, just Georgie is the only thing I worry about long term this season.
I just think all the offensive struggles not all, but most of them come down to just that still learning together. And then, like we've said, that not learning and not learning who to pass to and who should pass to who yet, not having that 100% down, that causes the turnovers, which causes the bad defense, which doesn't give you the transition offense where you're better at. So then it just, it's kind of that ripple effect that now everything's messed up. So I think once they get that offensive chemistry together and down pat, which I think we should begin to see, maybe not against Hawaii, maybe, but in the coming weeks, if we see that steadily improve, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's no reason to sound the alarms right now.
They shouldn't be turning the ball over like they did against Arizona next week.
I think that's just it's just sloppy, but you correct that. You get you practice this whole week. You're fixing that. You're tightening things up. I think we should see a little cleaner of a team this coming week, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things for me, for someone who has watched this program as much as I have, as in-depthly as I have, in Brad Underwood's first two and now going into his third season, the concerns I have are concerns that I've had going back to the first year that haven't been fixed. And I think that's a fair kind of thing to say. And granted, the first year, he didn't have this roster. Second year, as he put, we're still building the culture. In the third year, now he says, the culture is here. Okay, Brad, if the culture's here, now you should be able to easily make changes and make adjustments.
But
you can't discount that first half against Arizona because
before
Illinois, the last 2 years, Illinois would never be able to play in that high level of a game in the first. The fact that they were able to play up to the level, honestly, they played better than Arizona in that first half. Really, I mean, there was just the last stretch of the last 5 minutes or so, Arizona just made some more shots, and then also I forget what his name was. I think his last name was Green. He had the best shooting day of his life, going 3 for 4 or something like that from three. And Underwood told the team not to worry about him at the 3-point line, and he burned him for it. And he did that in the first half. But the fact that Illinois can play up to this level this early in the season, I think that's incredibly encouraging.
It's just one of those things where I just want to see changes and different things. And like I said, or like the three of us have all said, they're all changes that can easily be made, and with this whole week off, I expect some of them to be made, but you got to show them to me for me to 100% buy in. And I still think this is a tournament team. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. This is still a tournament team.
There's so much time, so many things that will improve.
Do you guys want to hit on Curbelo, Hawkins, and a potential Adam Miller commitment in the next week?
Yeah, I mean, you got Andre Curbelo. That was their guy. Illinois. One thing you can complain about Illinois recruiting-wise basketball the last couple of years is that they haven't been able to find a lead guard, a true point guard, or a lead guard. Now they think they got it with Andre Curbelo, who was just named to the USA Today preseason top 25 player. I'm
excited for him.
Top 50 player in the country, top 10 point guard in the country. I mean, Underwood loves to throw comparisons out like this.
Oh my gosh! Yesterday he was like,
he threw some insane comparisons.
He's
got
to quit doing that.
Which he does, but I broke down the film between him and Curbelo and Steve Nash. Obviously, two in ball screen action. So, Curbelo does do some of the have some Nash-esque features in his ball screen action, but I mean, besides that, you can't actually take any weight. And like Underwood even said it himself. He's like, it's incredibly unfair for me to say this.
Yeah.
And like anyone that actually
I give him credit for saying that because he didn't say it before he gave Mark Smith the Jason Kidd comparison.
The Jason Kidd comp was tough, but
at least I'll give him credit for saying this is not fair for me to say.
Yeah.
But
he always gives these comps, like these outrageous comps, but he always narrows it down to a specific thing. Like with Jason Kidd comp, he said it was about his mentality and like his awareness and stuff like that. But you can't just say that because then like people take it out of context. So
I respect it though. I mean, obviously he did kind of say like this is unfair, which good, but I respect having that confidence and that excitement that this is the guy you got, this guy you wanted.
Oh, he's good.
Like,
he's good.
Get excited about it. Get hyped about it. Have that confidence. Obviously, he's young, but I respect it.
I think he could be a point guard that can dominate a game without the stat sheet showing it. The way I feel like he'll be someone that could just control the game in that way, and because of his passing ability and the way he just can run an offense.
I think that another good thing with Curbelo is that he will be here for 4 years. Based off his size, I don't see him transferring immediately to the NBA. Yeah. And I think that's good. It gives you someone that this program can identify with, and that's something they need, and he is really, really good at what this team is really not good at right now.
But they said Illinois got their Cassius Winston.
That was Derek.
Was that Derek?
That was Pipes. What you guys want to grade what this recruiting class would be with?
Be top 10 in the country at the moment. They get like Adam Miller.
A, B, C, whatever, with plus and minuses.
Oh, it'd be an A.
If you get Curbelo, Miller, obviously Coleman Hawkins is signing this week. He will be in Champaign on Saturday if you want to go watch him.
Bernard Kuma.
I think you find a way to get him in there.
Yeah, no, he'll be in for sure.
Where would you rank, or where would you grade that?
It's top 10 in the country at this moment. If Adam Miller commits today, it's a top 10 recruiting class in the country.
I'd give it an A.
Yeah, it's definitely an A.
Now, if Adam Miller is not in it, what would you give it?
A B plus.
Giving it a B minus.
No, a B minus because they've been on. It would be a huge disappointment if they lost Miller. They've been on him so hard since day one.
He was the guy that when Brad was hired, he circled.
Yeah, no, you had to. Yeah, for sure.
And him and then he said 3 days after he was hired, Orlando and T. Kindred said, yeah, this guy too.
Yeah.
But
Adam Miller was the one like on the whiteboard, like circled in red, like saying like
because Iowa was already circled from John Gross.
Brad that's another guy John Gross had circled too, and Jamal Walker was probably like, hey, this is who we gotta go after right now.
So yeah, I think that you get Miller A minus A somewhere in there.
I'll give it an A.
I'll give it an A. Without Miller, I'm giving it a B minus.
Yeah.
Because I think you got to fill it with someone else.
Yeah.
And if you fill it with KK Robinson, then I think you get to a B. But I don't think that looks that realistic. Gabby, you said you wanted to talk women's basketball before NFL picks.
I love women's basketball. Just real quick, I just want to talk about how good Jada Peebles is. She's a freshman. She's from North Carolina. She committed to North Carolina State when she verbaled there when she was young, like before high school, and then she pulled that verbal and then committed to Illinois. I want to say her junior year maybe. And so Brandon Beasley, obviously we all know who that is, but point guard Illinois. She's been out with a concussion, out for about 2 weeks now, which is kind of concerning.
That's about right for a concussion.
I get. Yeah.
That's about.
Yeah, I guess if they're
a minor concussion is, at the very least, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So Jada started in that point guard role along with Janiyah Ephraim, kind of similar to like an Io Trent situation, and Jada's been kind of going off, and I really like to see that because when I talked to her in the before their first game, I asked her kind of, like where do you see your role, where do you see yourself fitting in, and she hit on. She felt she was going to be really in that defensive role and bring, defensive energy. She's intense, she's aggressive. And then to see her, she's the third leading scorer on the team. She's averaged, they've only played 3 games, obviously, but 12.7 points a game. I mean, I think that's really impressive, especially maybe she didn't see herself in that scoring role right away. You know, if Brandy wasn't hurt when I don't think Brandy was hurt when I talked to her, so maybe not seeing that much playing time. But I just think that's impressive. And then the 4th and 5th highest scores are also freshmen.
Yeah.
So I think it's just cool to see, good to see Faye get some good recruits. And, you know, she's such a good coach. I think this is a very deserving team to have good players, and especially with all the seniors and all they've gone through, and, you know, the injury to Petra, who's leading with 16.7 points a game. I mean, I just think they're, as much as football, like, such a deserving team to have a good year.
I feel like this year's women's basketball team is, with recruiting and everything, I feel like they could be the potential to be in the same place that men's basketball was last year.
Yeah.
Where despite the terrible record whatsoever, they're going to have like a 2-3 week stretch later on in the season where it's like that's what we're going to carry over in the next. That's the part where we hit
like
getting
over
point,
that initial hump,
yep.
you know, and beating a good team.
That's where I feel like this women's basketball team has to hit this year. There has to be something in February or March, or definitely like late January, February, where there has to be a sign saying like, hey, things are changing.
I mean, I don't see a tournament team, obviously. That's a huge jump to make, but you see that kind of that exact comparison, whereas, okay, then next year, maybe a tournament team. Maybe let's...
Like, hey, we showed this flash in February
now
or whatever.
Look what we can do. And so I think this is a good season, if you don't already, to start following women's basketball and just keep up with them and, you know, see what they're doing. And, yeah, I'm excited. And they were, like, the first big team I covered last year as a freshman, so I'm rooting for them secretly. But
I grew up 30, 40 minutes away from WashU, and Nancy Faye was a name that I just knew because she's an amazing
she's
coach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What she did at the D3 level, and it was a huge risk by Josh Whitman to bring her in from WashU, which is obviously where Josh Whitman came from. But like you guys are saying, it's starting to work out a little bit for the women's program, and if you get to a point like men's basketball was at last season, then you start to feel pretty good about where your women's program is at. And hats off to Nancy Faye for getting at least some excitement around this women's basketball program, because she's a really good coach.
That was arguably a bigger mess before
That was
arguably the biggest mess of all of the sports programs. I mean, and with football included, and like basketball.
Yeah, no, that was a...
That's like low. That's like
hats off to all those seniors who stayed with Faye. Like,
that's like the under the radar. Like everyone wants to talk about like the mess Lovey had coming into Illinois, or the mess Brad had coming into Illinois.
No, the mess
women's
Nancy
basketball
Faye
was the biggest mess of all.
Well, she had player abuse allegations as well. So
just hats off to that program, and you know, I think Faye has raved about Brandy Beasley, which is like so good to see. Just the fact that Brandy could have left. She's a really good player, and she could have gone to a program who's winning now. But, you know, she has always talked about she wants to be part of this rebuild and, you know, bringing the program back. So follow along with them. They actually have a game Saturday. So
fun times around Illinois athletics at the moment. But it's time for the Thursday tradition now. Of
I like it. It's fun. I want to stay on the Thursday show just because of this. Like
just the NFL picks.
I think it's fun.
For the rest of my life.
Okay, so let's start with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I picked the Steelers to win last week against the Rams, and I hit. You gave me a lot of heat for that.
I did.
Now,
I'm gonna go Steelers this week. I think Cleveland.
Change it.
I think Cleveland is such a dumpster fire at the moment. Remember when I said it last week? I said that one time, if Cleveland loses against at Denver, then it'd be a complete dumpster fire in Cleveland. It's a complete dumpster fire in Cleveland. I know they just won last week against the Bills, but I was never buying Bills stock in the first place because they're always fake early on in the season. But I'm gonna go Steelers. That defense is legit. Minka Fitzpatrick is you got him for a steal. I think.
I wouldn't say a first-round draft pick is.
Minka's a legit.
I mean, he's worth it. I think he's worth it. But
he's playing like a top 10 pick in the draft at the moment.
Yeah.
It's because he is.
I mean, yeah.
But he's awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Like, giving up a first-round draft pick.
I was like a little skeptical at first, just because, like, to be honest, I didn't really know much about him. I hadn't watched him that much, and
he was really, really good at Alabama.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Do you think the Steelers are you picking the Steelers?
I like Cleveland. They're -3. I think they win. I don't know if they cover, but I like Cleveland.
That's a tough line.
I hate Thursday night games so much, but I feel like when you're at home, it gives you at least a little bit of an advantage on Thursday night. So I'm going to take Cleveland.
Honestly scared because the Steelers, most seasons, always have a bad loss to, like, the Bengals or the Browns. They just mess up. Like,
I mean, yeah, it would be a good
it's
loss.
just, it's always...
Bengals would be a bad loss.
Well, okay, Bengals. But Browns is still not a good loss. I think they just always have that one. And, you know, watching
the Browns
them for
on paper
so
are the
long-
better football team. Like, you look at talent-wise and everything,
they're
the Browns.
horribly
Yeah, but they're
coached.
not.
Exactly.
I don't know. The offense needs to step up. And James Conner's back.
a big
Juju is
one.
playing,
Yep.
which he was kind of questionable.
Someone trade me something for Juju Smith in my fantasy league because he's awful fantasy-wise.
Well, that's because Mason Rudolph can't really find him right now.
So you're just saying he's bad fantasy-wise.
All right, so I got Pittsburgh.
I have Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Pittsburgh.
All right, let's move to Sunday.
Oh, this is going to be the best game of the week.
This
What time?
one's
What
tough.
time is this game?
They're 12.
that's
I
so
I was
dumb.
going to put the times, but you can probably figure it out.
They should have flexed Bears Rams for that for Houston Baltimore.
Just remember, it's all based off of TV ratings.
Yeah.
So Houston travels to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Baltimore's -4. Yep.
Taking
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
For sure.
Boo.
Atlanta
It's going
travels
to be
to
the best game of the week.
Yeah,
well,
that's a good game.
Atlanta travels to Carolina to take on Christian McCaffrey and the Panthers.
Give me Carolina.
I'll take Carolina -5.
Kyle
Give
Allen
me
looks
Atlanta.
so good against the Packers.
Because Kyle Allen is good.
He was like,
Who'd you take?
Taking Atlanta
wow.
To cover or to win?
to win.
Wow.
I always thought Kyle Allen was just like game managing, and then McCaffrey was carrying him. In that Packers game, he put him on their back to try to give him a chance to win. He was slinging in the snow. Alliteration.
5-4 Dallas travels to Detroit, who is 3-5. I'll take Dallas -3 to cover on the road.
If Matthew Stafford's playing, I'm taking Detroit.
Okay.
Poor
Give me Dallas. Give me Dallas.
All right. Jacksonville travels to Indianapolis. Indy is -2.5.
Brissett's playing.
I'll take that
Yeah.
simply because Brissett's playing.
Yeah,
Yep,
same.
give me Indy for that.
Buffalo is -6.5 versus Miami.
Yep.
This one is interesting because suddenly the Dolphins have won 2 in a row.
Ooh.
Um,
They're supposed to tank. What are they
I still don't think
doing?
they're very good, but I don't think Buffalo wins by a touchdown, so I think Miami will cover, but I got Buffalo winning the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That's I don't like 6 and I don't know.
It's a big spread.
Yeah.
Denver travels to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Vikings are -10.5.
That's
The Vikings
too
are
much.
good.
Vikings are
The
good.
Broncos
I'm definitely taking the Vikings
are
on
not
that.
so
Definitely
good.
Vikings, but
I'll take the Vikings to cover because it's in Minnesota.
Vikings are really good right now. I always said like all the Vikings
that's just big.
all the Vikings issues had nothing to do with like just how that team was built. Like they have all the talent they need. It was just like Kirk
have
getting
so
his
much
head out of
talent.
his butt and
Oh my
getting
gosh.
better play calling. And now I mean you're seeing Dalvin Cook's on pace to have a better year than AP had when he was when he went over 2K rushing yards. I mean that's
insane.
That's insane to think about, and it's insane to think about. It's not being as talked about as much, honestly.
It's because they're the Vikings. New Orleans is
AP was with the Vikings though, at the time.
Yeah, but AP was like
AP, yeah.
New Orleans is -5.5 when they travel to Tampa Bay to take on Jameis Winston. Eat the W, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do think the Saints win, and I think they cover too.
same. Agreed.
I think, yeah, I'll go that. Yeah.
Jets travel to Washington to take on the Redskins. The
That's the
Redskins
worst
still
game of
just
the
have
week.
1 win on the season, whereas the Jets somehow only have 2. Imagine that, the Jets only having 2 wins.
Give me Jets.
Yeah, I'll go Jets, Jets.
I like Sam Darnold more than I like Dwayne Haskins, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll take the Jets. Arizona and Kyler Murray travel to San Francisco.
That's going to be a fun game.
It will be. San Francisco's going to be pissed off not being undefeated anymore and probably should have won that game. Give me San Francisco minus 10.
Even though Arizona's record...
Actually, not minus 10. San Francisco's going to win, but they're not going to win by 10.
Yeah.
Arizona's record's not going to reflect it, but that's a competitive football team. But
Also,
San Francisco's going to win.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think
think Arizona
49ers.
covers.
Same.
Lonte sums up every Cardinals fan. If you're not thinking this, you should be. You shouldn't want the Cardinals to win another game yet.
Oh,
this
yeah.
season if you're a Cardinal fan.
You just want them playing competitive every game.
Yep. They are 3-6 if you ended the season 3-13, you'd have a much higher draft pick.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what the Cardinals need to pair with that young stud quarterback, Kyler Murray. New England, minus 3.5, travels to Philly to take on Carson Wentz and the Eagles.
New England. I'm pounding New England on this.
This one's tough for me.
I'm
New
pounding
England.
New England on this.
This one's really tough for me. They didn't look good. Their defense didn't look as good as it was earlier in the season against some of those lesser opponents last week against the Ravens on Monday night.
Ravens also have like the best
Or that was
offense
Sunday
in-
night.
Yeah, it was Sunday night. Ravens also have like the best offense. Maybe not statistically, but I think with the players they have and what they do, I think they have the best offense in the NFL. I'm pounding New England on that for sure.
If it was a bigger spread, I would take Baltimore to cover. But I think New England wins. That one's tough. I'm surprised.
You mean Philly?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the
I
wrong
got so confused.
Sorry. Cincinnati, this one's awful. Cincinnati travels to
Ew.
Oakland to take on the Raiders.
Raiders.
The Raiders are going to win.
Raiders are a good
Raiders.
football team.
They are. They're very well coached, despite trading Khalil Mack. Cincinnati.
It's working out for them.
Cincinnati's awful.
They have a stud pass rusher
They're
down in
awful,
Oakland.
They're
yeah, since
so
he's
bad.
All right. The
Chicago
Bears.
versus LA. I said at the beginning of the year that I thought the Bears and the Rams had a chance to be the two best teams in the NFC. All right, clearly I was wrong. The Bears' defense isn't as good as it was last year. It still doesn't have a key mix.
It's a top 10 defense right now.
It
It's
is.
just not a dominant number one defense.
Correct. But the Rams' offense isn't as good.
Nope, it is not. I'm gonna go.
And I hate the Rams. Because they left my home
Rams,
city, and I've
Rams,
always been a
Rams.
Bears fan, but they left my home city, so I kind of hate the Rams. I think the Bears win.
I think the Rams win. And then...
I think Jared Goff is going to poop his pants when he sees Khalil Mack running at him again.
What?
I'm gonna be a homer. I'm going Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
I'm going Rams because I don't care because the Steelers already beat them.
Cool.
So the Rams can stomp on the Bears.
I'm going to take... I think Khalil Mack has a really good game against the Rams, and I think he gets a couple sacks against Jared Goff. And I think
Gotta
Jared
worry
Goff
about
gets
that
happy
bad man
feet.
on the other side though, Aaron Donald.
True.
Mitch can scramble.
Okay, moving on.
Kidding.
Sorry, my bad. That was rude.
Mitch is awful. He's
I'm
god
pounding
awful.
this Chiefs game on Monday night.
Dude,
Chiefs,
me too.
Chiefs,
Why are they
Chiefs.
only minus 3.5?
Because the Chargers are
Chargers
a little
aren't-
hot at the moment.
They're not bad.
They're not good.
Yeah. I'm
They're
taking.
4-6.
That'll be a competitive game. I just don't think it's going to be 3.5.
Yeah, I think Kansas City wins by more than 3.5.
Yeah.
All right, 'twas a good show.
It was.
It
What?
was, but I have to go watch my team.
Yeah, I've got to go home and start prepping for a volleyball game that I have to commentate twice this weekend.
I want to
You act like I
want
have to do
watch
that
the
too.
Steelers and be like,
You don't
yeah,
need to
like,
do that.
Go Steelers, but like you just like don't make me want to do that.
That's fine. I don't need your support.
Okay.
You don't really need
I
to
don't
prep
need
that.
your
You just
fake-
need
I
my
don't
you
need
just
your
need my
fake
tips
support.
at Brothers.
No, I actually don't because I get
Oh,
enough.
good. I don't have to tip.
Well, you don't tip, so
Yeah.
I tip out of peer pressure.
all right, that's going to be enough
never
for
even been to
Illini
Brothers
Drive
and I
this
work.
week. Thank
It's
you
true.
for watching, not listening. But yeah, we'll be back Monday of next week with the Monday crew.
Yeah.